everyone. Jeff Nias here from Ridgewood High School. We are doing our first virtual college speaker series, and we're delighted to have some great panelists here today from University of Delaware, from Bucknell, from Fairfield, and from NYU. So we feel like we have a nice diverse group here of schools, and many of these schools obviously our kids apply to, and you guys get many applicants a year from us, I believe. So it's really nice that you're able to give your time here. So I'm just going to start off. We have a number of questions, and then but I'd like you guys to introduce yourself. I'm going in the order of how I see you. So Laura, maybe you can start, and then we'll go to Ben, and then Will, and then Kennedy.
Sure. Sure. So hi, everybody. My name is Laura Travis, and obviously an admissions counselor at University of Delaware. So just a quick snapshot about University of Delaware. Location, we're on the East Coast, approximately halfway between New York City and Washington, D.C. Undergraduate student size is about 18,000 students. Big enough that you're not going to know everybody, small enough that you can find your niche. Lots of academic opportunities with 150 majors to choose from, lots of minors, academic freedom to mix and match and pair your passions. And we also have 400 clubs and organizations that you could consider being a part of. Campus is pretty much walkable, lots of green space. Main Street runs right through campus. And other than that, that's a lot of, the environment at University of Delaware is very supportive and collaborative in nature. So that's just a little snapshot about UD.
Hi, I'm Ben Cavanaugh. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at Bucknell. We're located in beautiful, bucolic Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, which is right in the central part of the state. We're about 3 hours due west from New York City. We have about 3,650 students. We're actually one of the larger liberal arts colleges. What's unusual is that, unlike most of our peers, most of our liberal arts peers, we have 3 undergraduate colleges: arts and sciences, engineering, and management. Every class is taught by a professor. It's highly residential. There's also opportunities, of course, for deep campus engagement, since 90% of the students live on campus. You think of the prototypical Bucknellian, obviously really smart, but they also want to get involved in class discussions. They want to get involved in campus life. They want to do internships. They want to research. They want to study abroad. They really want to explore and search for things, and they're really trying to maximize their college experience. And they're also thinking about what's next. They really love being part of a community that's bigger than themselves. They love getting the opportunity to create, their own version of what Bucknell is.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Will Martorano. I'm an admission counselor at Fairfield University. I'm also an alum of the school and current graduate student there as well, so wear many hats for the institution. Fairfield is located in Fairfield, Connecticut, about an hour outside of New York City if you take the Metro North train, and then about 2 hours outside of Boston as well. But we are a small to medium liberal arts Jesuit university. We have 4 schools on campus: College of Arts and Sciences, Dolan School of Business, Egan School of Nursing and Health Studies, and the School of Engineering. We have about 4,000 undergraduate majors and about 1,100 graduate students. So definitely that smaller, tight-knit community feel when you are on Fairfield's campus. Tons of leadership opportunities, and given the being in the greater metropolitan New York area, ample opportunities for internships and research on campus as well.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kennedy Karlik. I'm an assistant director of undergraduate admissions at New York University. I'm really happy to be here today. This is my first such virtual event, so please excuse any, any stammering, but I'm really excited to be here. So NYU, we're big, we're urban. We have a pretty unique tri-campus system. So we have 3 degree granting campuses, and those are located in New York, which is our flagship campus, Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, and Shanghai. So all 3 of those campuses are degree granting. In addition to that, we have 11 other global academic sites where students study abroad and conduct research. Really the word that most describes NYU is global. We really see ourselves as a university of the world, not just New York City. To give you a little bit more of an idea of our New York campus, we're located in Manhattan in Greenwich Village. We call ourselves the university without walls. So when you're walking around NYU's buildings and dorms, there's no walls or gates or any sort of thing that says this is campus and this isn't campus. It really is an urban university integrated into the city. Our students are just as involved in the university as they are the city around us, whether it's through the arts, whether it's through service. Something that we're known for is our really diverse student body. Our students come from every state in over 133 countries. Most of our students, I think over 80% of our students do study abroad. That's a pretty quintessential part of the NYU experience. Additionally, just want to let you know that we're a 4-year private institution, and we're on the Common App, and through the Common App, you're able to apply to all 3 of the degree granting campuses.
Great, thank you. So obviously everyone has been dealing with, the current situation and the pandemic that's been, occurring. And, I have a daughter in college, she's a sophomore at Elon, and she came home early from, and never went back in terms of, her spring break. And I know a lot of you guys are handling things a little bit differently. So some of the questions today are going to be really based around that to help our parents and students with making decisions for next year. So this is going to primarily go to our juniors, but I know a lot of our sophomores will watch this as well. So things may change a little bit by then. Well, we hope. So the first question I have is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic changed the landscape of college admissions? And anybody can start, and, obviously, you guys can, if it's similar at your schools and you just want to say very similar, that's fine too. We don't all have to answer, or you can all answer. Thank you.
Sure, I can take this one. Okay. I think, at least in our office, we've been talking about how it's a little early to tell, the full range of implications that this is going to have in the next year. But I think the big thing that NYU is trying to do, and that I see all of our peers trying to do, is really adjust our practices to best suit the needs of families and students, to understand our applicants in the context of the situations we find ourselves in. And I think a big theme of at least what we're seeing in our office and the sort of the change in the landscape of admissions is a lot more uncertainty from parents and students when they call our office, and some anxieties, which is completely understandable. And college applications are already a stressful enough process. But I do think, at least from our perspective at NYU, what we've seen for ourselves and those around us is that that shifting, that adjustability, that openness to change, that trying to prepare for come what may in the fall and beyond.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think at Fairfield, we are taking it day by day as much as we possibly can. And we are still operating under the assumption that hopefully this summer we will be up and running business as usual. And we are very much telling our families that this fall will be a traditional fall for us on campus. And it's important for us to work under that assumption. But of course, we do have contingency plans in place in the chance that we are having a bit more of an untraditional semester next year. We've already taken a number of steps for virtual opportunities and in terms of visits and Zoom sessions with students and everything. So to Kennedy's point, it's really just about adjusting and being as understanding as possible.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah, I'd say Delaware's the same, very similar to, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have that crystal ball. So, we're hoping for the best, planning for alternative options as well. Taking it day by day, asking people, stay patient and keep checking back to see if there have been changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to take it in stages. I mean, the first stage is being at a point where we're back on campus working. I think once that happens, then a lot more is going to be known. You know, in Pennsylvania, the governor last month closed down all non-essential businesses, which colleges and universities were part of that. There's going to be gradual easing, but it's going to start in places like Union County probably first, because we've had far fewer cases in other parts of the Commonwealth. So a lot of it's going to take our cue from, you know, governmental leaders, and then trying to figure out best practices. I do think it's one of the advantages all of us have as institutions of higher learning, is that you have presidents who have on call, you know, experts in disease, economists, historians. So there's a wide range of people that they can consult within their own institutions for advice, in addition to, you know, boards of trustees and other kinds of officials out there. So I think it was one of the reasons we were probably amongst the most proactive in terms of closing down. And I think, again, we're going to, whatever ends up happening, it's going to be thoughtful, it's going to be measured, and it's going to take into account the safety of not just the students, but also the local community here.
Sure. Thank you, guys. You know, we're dealing with a lot of the same things at Ridgewood, and you know, we're trying to figure things out. And I think a lot of this has to do with, you know, we don't have control of a lot of it, you know, so you know, we're biding our time and figuring things out for the fall as well. With that in mind, we do have some anxious, you know, juniors who, you know, are just entering the college process, and we've been doing our best as a department to keep them informed, all the changes with the SATs and the ACTs. And, you know, so I'm asking you guys, what is some advice you can give our juniors during this time in applying as college admissions? And, you know, what could they be doing now? Many of them would be visiting your, you know, schools at this point. What could they be doing, you know, in place of that, with, you know, not being able to really be on your campuses?
I can start with this one. I absolutely recommend all prospective students to explore the university's websites. Most times we have taken a number of steps to provide students with different virtual opportunities. At Fairfield, we have a number of different campus tours. I mentioned before different Zoom session recordings that are major specific. I absolutely recommend reaching out to your specific admission counselors. Our job is to help, so we would be more than happy to hop on the phone with you or exchange emails, correspond via different messaging sites, and search us on social media. There are a number of virtual ways for students to still learn about the universities without actually getting on campus.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo those sentiments exactly. And to just use this time wisely, get out and search. And when you reach out and ask questions, I think in this whole process, in a strange kind of way, I've had more connections personally, individually with students during this time because they are anxious. So, you know, to your point, William, just like reach out. That's what we're here for, and here to answer questions, even if it's telling you something that you already know. Just hearing it from somebody live, I think, can help.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And
not necessarily echo that. I think I heard someone say, I can't claim credit for it. I mean, it's rare that you have an event that the entire planet is simultaneously experiencing. So we kind of understand what everyone's going through because we're going through it ourselves. I think it's like, someone mentioned this, it's like the beginning of the last Avengers movie, you know, after Thanos snapped his fingers, right? It's kind of, that's kind of the vibe right now. We're all kind of like, we're all just trying to survive and figure it out. So yeah, I think the process has always been holistic, you know, always looking at everything that the student has. And again, we understand that this isn't anywhere close to ideal circumstances to do this process, you know, so we're going to be understanding because, again, we're experiencing these things ourselves, and we get that there are no right answers for any of this. It's just about trying to get to the next day, really. And if you can do that, well done.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think being located in New York City, we're unfortunately located in the epicenter of what's going on right now. I see a lot of anxiety about what the fall will look like and testing, standardized testing and the applications. And I do just want to echo what folks have said, but also just really remind students that, it's our job as admissions offices to deal with the pandemic, and it's your job to focus on what you can control. You can't control like what's going to happen with the pandemic or varying decisions regarding testing or whether schools will be open in the fall. And we really just want you to take care of yourselves, be well, and do the best you can do with what you've been given. And just trust that all of us on the other side are doing what we can and are here for you. And also definitely check out the online resources. We're really excited. Our NYU digital content website, Meet NYU, is actually just nominated for a Webby, which is like an award for online content. So really excited about that. We have virtual visits, virtual info sessions. I'm gonna myself be conducting virtual live information sessions starting in a few weeks. So we'll have to see how that goes. So for all students, just check out the websites of your favorite schools and look for what they're doing with their digital content. Get engaged on Instagram. A lot of students have, or a lot of universities have student takeovers of Instagram stories and things like that. And I think you would be surprised about the wealth of resources that most universities do have online and on social media.
Well, thank you guys. That's very helpful. So specifically, and I know, and I mentioned this before, I mean, maybe you guys can talk a little bit about if you've planned any changes for next year on how you're going to evaluate students. Or, has anything changed because of, maybe you're going to be getting some transcripts with pass fail instead of letter grades. And, maybe you can talk a little bit about the SATs and ACTs. If, I know a lot of schools are going to test optional. If any of you plan on doing that or have been there. So could you maybe just talk about things you might have talked about in the admissions office so that we can help our kids?
Yeah, this year was actually the first year we went test optional. So I think we ended up with about 20% of our applicants who didn't submit testing, and I think it looks like it's going to lead to a more diverse class, and we're definitely admitting students. I think in the past we might have been scared off because of test scores who otherwise were fantastic. So demonstrated interest has not been part of our process for several years. We're certainly expecting to see pass-fail grades, I think, from a lot of schools, which is understandable. We're going to take, if someone wants to submit SATs or ACTs that they took online, we'll accept them. We're going to accept the AP scores this year from these tests as we have previously. So I think a lot of ways, we're trying to do things similar to the way we've done them in the past, which is really to try to be student-centered and to look at a wide range of measures instead of just one or two things.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Anybody have anything to add?
Sure. So NYU has officially announced our closure for the summer. So our summer sessions are remote. We, as I think someone else here said, we don't have a crystal ball. We are currently expecting to have a traditional fall, but we're obviously subject to change. We really want to prioritize the health and wellness of our students and our community. In our admissions office, in some ways, not much has changed, which I think is a sense of comfort, like a sense of stability of what continues to be, a standard for us. And we are not test optional. We do continue to be test flexible. So we continue to accept SATs, IBs, AP exams, SAT subject tests, A-levels, a whole host of international exams that students can choose from. So you don't just have to submit the traditional SAT or ACT. You could submit 3 AP exams instead. So we do offer students a lot of flexibility around how they want to meet that requirement for standardized testing. NYU does not track demonstrated interest. So that's not something that's going to be impacted by our campus being closed. A really positive change that actually just happened for us is our Shanghai campus is starting to reopen. So although those of us in New York are, not having a great spring in terms of we're not with our colleagues, we're not with our students, we're working from home, our colleagues in Shanghai are reopening, and our Chinese citizens students, our Shanghai campus, 50% Chinese citizens and 50% international students. Our Chinese citizens are returning to class in person, and they're having this mixed mode, these mixed mode classes where the international students are coming in digitally. And I think that gives us a lot of imagination about how we might be able to approach the fall as such an international campus. And as with regards to standardized testing, we of course are accepting the AP exams that are being taken this fall. Standardized testing that the College Board is administering. But like I said, we do understand that that these testing environments might not be ideal for students, and we are sort of flexible with how we're evaluating test scores in the context of our comprehensive application review policy.
Yeah, so the University of Delaware, we're a state university as well. Kennedy, it's great to hear that Shanghai is opening. I mean, that gives us all some hope and encouragement that it's possible.
Oh, we cried at a staff meeting last week. It was emotional.
Yeah, so at this point in time, our admissions process is the same as it always has been. So we do require tests, SAT or ACT. And we're just encouraging students to use this downtime to study more and to get yourselves signed up for tests in either August, September, or October if you want to take advantage of the November 1st early action opportunity. But it continues to be a holistic review. So we're still looking at rigor and grades, but the test scores are required for out-of-state students. However, there's always that caveat, so check back, keep checking back, I think is the message, because as things change on a daily, hourly basis. So for any university that you're interested in, just keep touching base with them.
Kind of similarly at Fairfield, not much it will be changing for the admission process. We have been test optional for a number of years now, so that will be remaining the same. We don't actively check for demonstrated interest, but we do like to see when students do express that, if that makes sense. But so we will be doing so in a modified way, because we recognize that some students just simply cannot get to campus anymore. But again, I definitely recommend reaching out to your specific admission counselors, because we would love to hear from you. And again, similarly to Delaware, definitely maintaining that holistic review process and completely understanding that everyone is experiencing an adjusted schedule and adjusted classroom setting right now. So that we will absolutely be approaching with the application process with that new lens.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So Ben and Will, I know you guys are test optional. Are there any specialized programs that you guys still do require any standardized tests for, like a nursing program, for example?
We are 100% test optional for every program across the board, and it's always shocking for students to hear that we are test optional for nursing or business, but no, just 100% test optional. We want students to put their best foot forward, and if their scores aren't reflective of that, then of their best abilities, then by all means omit them.
Our exceptions for testing are not by major, but they're by kind of the type of applicant. So recruited athletes have to submit testing, international students have to submit testing, and homeschool students have to submit testing.
Okay,
Yeah, I just want to add, I forgot to mention this earlier, that NYU's artistic programs, so for our Tisch School of the Arts, and some of our artistic programs in the Steinhardt School of Education, Culture, and Human Development are test optional and just have been. A good rule of thumb is that if you're being asked to submit an audition or a portfolio for the NYU program you're applying to, we are test optional for those students.
Okay.
Great.
And
Thank
often
you.
encourage students to not submit testing in those cases, I might add.
Great. All right. So I don't know how work specifically with your coaches and things like that in terms of athletics, but how are the athletic coaches at your institution recruiting during this time where high school athletes have been suspended? Is there anything that the high school student athlete can be doing, you know, to support their candidacy if they were maybe looked at in the past?
Sure. So, do you want to go?
Oh, please, by all means, by all means.
Okay. So here's a list from a Division I coach that I just spoke with earlier today. Keeping in touch with the coach via email or text or call if they have more time. Keeping grades up, really key. Third thing, if they have access to whatever fields they play on, I used to coach tennis at Delaware for many years. So if you happen to have a court that you can get on, do what you can to keep up with your sport, whatever the sport is. If they don't have that access, just shadowing any of the movements that you can do. You know, get out there with your soccer ball, practice, keep your skills up to par. There's no contact, according to the NCAA, until May 31st, but give coaches references for them to call so they can learn more about you, you know, learn more about, you know, everything that you have to offer on and off the playing field. Next one is plan a tournament schedule for the fall and send that to the coaches so they can get that on their schedules to be able to come out and watch you. You can reach out to current players on the team using Instagram or Facebook, get their feedback on the university and the coaches. And then Zoom calls, you know, can be an opportunity for, you know, coaches to see character through adversity. And you can also have Zoom calls through parents, with the parents also. So those are just some of the suggestions for those student athletes that still are working on being recruited.
That's great. Thank you.
I absolutely echo Laura's sentiments. We are also encouraging students to submit a relatively basic athletic resume. So just including the position that they play, some highlights about themselves, so some stats, teams that they played for, their current coach information so that the future coaches can reach out to them as a bit of a reference, again, to Laura's point. We're also encouraging a brief, very brief, but direct highlight video. So the coaches have been pretty certain on the fact that they are looking to cap it at 2 minutes. So if the student has a brief video, absolutely submit it. But by all means, feel free to reach out to the coaches as well. All of our coach information is available on our website.
Yeah, at NYU, we have an interest form on our website and all of our coaches' contact information online. I've been told to encourage students to reach out directly to the coaches that they're working with. My understanding is that it's pretty case by case how these things are being handled and differs across sports and teams. But don't be afraid to reach out to the coaches directly. They want to hear from you. They're happy to give you further guidance. And it is really being handled on a case by case basis.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally at Bucknell, we've always told, you know, potential student athletes just reach out to the coach directly. We try to keep those things pretty separate for obvious reasons. So, I mean, we're not a Power 5 conference. We're not going to have the football coach come in on the helicopter to, you know, personally recruit people. So most of the folks who play at Bucknell, you know, it's because they started the conversation by reaching out to the coach. And I would imagine that's going to continue this year as well.
Yep. You there?
Great. Yeah. And experience a little bit of technical difficulty. I don't know if you guys are hearing the same thing, but we're okay. All right. We're getting.
Can I just chime in just one other question regarding? I know some of you have spoken to giving the application a holistic review, and I know at least a lot of the juniors that I've had spoken with recently, there's this anxiety, about the application process, and they're aware that you're all taking a holistic review at their application. And so they're concerned that all of their extracurricular activities have at this point come to a halt, and how that will, what implications that will have as they submit their application. And I would just love to hear, what you guys have to say about that, and your review on that at this point.
Sure. So at NYU, the biggest part of our application review is the academic portion. We do look strongly at the grades, at the transcripts, at letters of recommendations from teachers, at standardized test scores. We're a school first and foremost, so we're looking at your academics first and foremost. And how we're approaching it is understanding the context of the individual schools and the individual regions. We understand that we're going to be seeing pass, no pass courses. That's okay. As far as extracurriculars go, I hope students understand that everybody's extracurriculars have been halted. It's not just you. It's not disadvantaging you that your extracurriculars have been put on pause. If it's any comfort, extracurriculars are a wonderful part of the application of helping us understand your fit with NYU, but it's not the most important part. And we really don't want students to be holding on to any anxieties about not being able to go to a spring debate conference or, do the services that they would normally do. We know what's happening. Most people are in the same boat. Students will not be penalized for activities that they had been doing that they can't continue to do.
And just to add to that, agree to everything that you've said, Kennedy. I echo those sentiments, at least on behalf of University of Delaware. And on the additional information section in either the common application or the coalition application, if they've had a meaningful extracurricular experience, they can certainly read that into that area, almost as if a separate essay, to really just show us how that's just helped you grow as an individual, which might even be more beneficial than just listing it line by line, all the different, clubs and organizations that you've been a part of. So consider using the additional information opportunity to expand upon things like that.
I would say we're probably a bit more 50-50, because being a residential campus, having a life for yourself outside the classroom is just as important as what you achieve in the classroom. So, I always say we're trying to answer 3 questions about any applicant. First question, can they do the work? So you're looking at, obviously grades, strength of schedule, grade trends, things of that nature. The second question, will they thrive in a residential campus? So you're looking not just at extracurriculars, the depth of them. What are you spending the most time doing? But you're also looking at things like the essay, you're looking at things like recommendation letters. So yeah, to Kennedy's point, everybody's extracurriculars are going to be impacted. Having said that, I don't think we've ever been a place that's really put a lot of emphasis on what you do during the summer. I think we've always been more interested in what you do during the school year. I've never been someone who penalizes a student for, being a lifeguard during the summer or just kind of taking it off. Being a high school student these days is a lot more intense than it was in my generation. So I see nothing wrong with sort of decompressing there. So I don't think not being able to do things during the summer is really going to change how we look at students. And again, the third question is also how competitive is the student for the major, because we read by territory, but we admit by majors. That's always a question we're asking as well. But again, it's going to impact everybody, and we'll just have to take that into account.
Okay. All right. Again, changing gears a little bit. This has a little bit to do with financial aid. And if so,
You cut off for most of that. Was that the financial aid?
I can read it again if I didn't know. I don't know why. If
Yeah,
it's
I get it. Yeah.
All right.
Please repeat.
Becky,
We can
Becky,
hear
you
you
want to
now.
read it?
Yeah. So kind of shifting gears to talking a little bit about financial aid. Is your college need blind? And if so, will your college be more need aware due to the financial implications that COVID has had on the country?
So Fairfield has always been need sensitive, we call ourselves, meaning the vast majority of our admission decisions are made without considering a family's ability to pay. But we also don't have any intention of changing this practice at the result of COVID. But of course, being a Jesuit university will be sensitive to everyone's adjusted income and everything like that, but taking it definitely as a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, we've always been need aware. I'd say need aware in the sense that, we don't want to admit students and then give them massive gaps, which would make it unreasonable for them to, or unable for them to be able to enroll. So yeah, we're need aware because we want to make sure we can put together competitive packages. Most of the aid we award is based on need. We don't typically do a lot that sort of no need merits. I don't see that changing anytime forward.
Yeah, and at Delaware, in terms of admissions decisions, we are need blind.
Yep, at NYU, we've been need blind for a while now, and we're continuing to be in the future, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah. So I believe our last question you guys answered, it had to do with demonstrated interest, and many of you responded to that. I really do appreciate the time that you've given us, and just to kind of echo some of your thoughts. I mean, I think every one of you had mentioned in some part of your talk today is that we're all doing this together, and everybody's experiencing it. Everyone's home more, and it's the extracurriculars are going to suffer because you can't do them, and that's just the reality. So that part I think is very clear. And everybody had a very sensitive approach to this, and I think most colleges will be sensitive, knowing the situation moving forward. And we're like I said, every high school in America is working out the kinks too. So so again, we want to thank you for your perspective. I don't know if you have any final thoughts that you want to add. If there's anything that anyone wants to add, I would certainly love to hear it. But I do want to thank you one more time, all of you, for your just your participation today. It's been great.
Yeah, so Jeff, I would just want to add on to that Delaware is, we don't track demonstrated interest at this time. Who knows, that may change, but really, we really, and I'm sure we all do, appreciate you putting this together and wonder, is there anything that in any way that we can support you all as high school, counselors? What are you seeing? What are the, is there any way we can help you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been getting a lot of information from individual schools, emails about virtual tours, about freshman days that have been now, more question and answer, some for the parents, some for the kids. We've had schools reach out to us and put together mini college fairs. All of that stuff has been helpful, because if I'm not getting it, someone like Becky's getting it, and we're sharing it amongst each other's, and we're getting, so I think the colleges are doing a great job, communicating with us. So I would just echo that, continue to let us know, how we can help you, and we'll let you know how you can help us. So it's been nice that way.
And I think this has been a really good platform as well, because there has been a lot of stress and anxiety that we've all received from students and parents. And I do feel like their stress is relieved a little bit more when the information is coming straight from you guys. So I think this resource is going to be really well received for them, and hopefully dispel some of that stress. I keep telling my students too, if we're going to find any comfort in this uncomfortable situation, is that we're all in this together. You guys as college reps, us as counselors, students. So it's, I really appreciate you guys taking the time as well, because I really do think that this will be well received.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck with the rest of the year, everybody. And, thank you again. And hopefully we'll be able to help you guys at Ridgewood, in the near future.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
All right.
Everybody.
Have a great
Take
day.
care.
Everybody.
Be well.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.